assigned, I let you down. First of all, I did episodes 2 and 3 back to back, so I didn't have a change of tie or shirt, so I'm gonna look the same for both episodes. I did switch my venue a little bit, so it looks at least a little bit different. But I got so going on that second podcast that I felt like I had to get this third and final episode done right now while it's fresh in my brain, because we kind of had a cliffhanger. We were at the point in the second episode about where we were in our process, about cleaning up our data, about starting to get to the places where we're going to have to make some tough decisions, and then we were out of time. So I knew I had to jump right back into it. So as you're beginning this process, for me, this is kind of mid-March. I've started to get clean data from my counselors. We've gotten our information accurate for course information. Teacher information is accurate. Now we're working on teacher assignments. And a teacher assignment is who's teaching what and how many periods. How many periods are you teaching? Is Miss Smith teaching English 9 versus English 10? Or Mr. Jones is teaching Intro to 2D Art versus photography. And so we have to get all that information into our SIS. And so first of all, I work from a spreadsheet, and I'm looking at how many requests are there, and then how many sections does that mean. And so I've created a spreadsheet over the years that helps me kind of keep track of that information and start to make those decisions. I update that information throughout while the counselors are still making those conversations. And then we start to build out a master schedule. Hey, I've got 3 visual art teachers. So 3 visual art teachers. I talked in the last episode, it's 12 sections per teacher during the course of the year. So I have 36 sections in visual art that I can teach in a year. Well, my student requests may be for 38 or could be for 38, based on the class sizes and things like that. And so then I got to start making decisions. I start looking in, hey, okay, well, if we raise the maximum number, we kind of set it at 28 for this class, but if we made it 30, we could make this work. Or, hey, instead of teaching drawing 2 and drawing 3 separately, and they'd be 2 smaller classes, could the teacher teach them in the same section and differentiate? And those are questions you have to ask. You have to talk to your team, your staff, and kind of figure out where those places are and have some tough decisions, tough conversations. We've had a couple of AP classes sometimes that are at 35, and that's not ideal. 35 kids in a class is tough and it's tight, but a section of 17 and a section of 18, man, that can really throw off your master schedule. And so you start to have those conversations about those things with your teachers, start to work for solutions, really spend time knowing the assignment codes, like who can teach what. Know your teaching licensures. Who has what kind of license? Hey, if I added another section of government, who also has government on their license so they could pick it up for me? Oh, nobody can? Oh, I got them in trouble. Or a couple years ago, we had too many sections of social studies. Well, there was a little bit of room in the business department, and I had a business teacher who could teach econ. So I was able to move a couple of sections of economics down to the business department, and boom, the schedule balanced out. And that really becomes the art, is figuring out the places, the areas where you have that flexibility to move some things around. And as I learned this, the more time I've spent with the master schedule, that's so critical. So we build all that out in a spreadsheet for each department. I meet with each department chair, we go through, we have some discussions, we kind of bounce some ideas. Sometimes we have a plan A, a plan B, plan C. There may be a staff member who's talking about retiring, or there may be a staff member who might be moving or whatever. And so you have to kind of have a lot of options. I often talk to our department chairs about if we had to play today. I can't what if all the different possibilities, but hey, if we're playing today, here's who's going to teach what. And we kind of build it from there. We take that spreadsheet information and we got to get that in the SIS. Okay, we have to tell the SIS that Mr. Jones is teaching 6 periods of Intro to 2D Art and 3 sections of Photography 1 and 3 sections of Photography 2. And once we've done that, then we let the SIS do the work. And so this is, again, a place where I've done a lot of training, and I've worked with Power School trainers to learn more about this process. I really encourage people to do that. I think it's a really positive experience. but then you start digging in. You start trying to let the SIS create that master schedule for you. I will tell you that the temptation as a rookie, even as a veteran sometimes, schedule builder is to try to be in control of everything. Hey, I need this particular choir to be third period. I need this particular AP class to be fifth period, to be seventh period. Hey, these teachers all need this period prep. And what I've learned is the computer is smarter than me. And if I can let the computer do more of that work and give it less requirements that aren't real requirements, they're kind of like, hey, be nice if, but it doesn't have to be. And so I have learned that by doing that, by removing some of my desires and wants out of the master schedule and really making the computer be the driver, because that is where the work gets done. And so I have learned the hard way about that, and by removing some of those things. Hey, listen, I know Mr. Jones really likes second period prep. I'm not going to tell the computer that on the front end, and let's see what happens. Maybe he'll get it anyways, but there may be something that works better. And so, because if my numbers in PowerSchool are clean and in the SIS are clean, and I let it make the decisions about what periods things are happening, it's looking at conflicts while it's placing the schedules. It's looking at everybody who's selected AP Physics, and also looks at what English classes they're requesting. Maybe they're in AP Language at the same time. And so it will try to arrange those classes to prevent conflicts. And I've told you earlier, not everybody's going to be happy with the master schedule. That's teachers, that's students, and so you have to prioritize making the master schedule run well. And so, there's going to be a student, I guarantee, no matter how hard you work at it, who's going to come and see their counselor and say, the counselor's going to tell them, hey, you've got to choose between this class and this class. They're the same period. There's nothing we can do about it. That always happens, okay? It's undefeated. It happens every time. But I will tell you that by letting the computer do more of that, the better. And so we do that process. That's early April for us, into mid-April, where I'm really working to get all that cleaned up. And then I share those potential schedules with department chairs, and I say, hey, look at this. Help me find mistakes. Help me find things that don't make sense. And it doesn't matter how time, effort, magnifying glass of going through it. Mrs. Jones's algebra class is being taught in the gymnasium, happens every year. There's always some of those classes that PowerSchool, that the SIS just didn't schedule right. So we try to find those early so we can start correcting them. And then I start going in, if I have to, and start making some of those corrections by hand. And we start looking for other anomalies. Hey, look, we've got a ton of conflicts in a certain area. I try to look for ways to fix it. If I feel like I can fix it well, I do. If I don't feel like I can, I just leave it and say we're going to have tough conversations, and that's okay. So we're doing all that process. For us, we have a day, we say it's May 1st every year. That's the last time that a student can make a want to change. Hey, I want to take this class instead of that class with no reason. We also have criteria in our Pathfinder, our handbook, that says when you can make a change. And so for other reasons, maybe lots of different reasons, and so we include those, but that May 1st deadline, and then after that May 1st deadline, I'll do what is called the last load, and I'll load in as many student schedules that'll work as possible, and then my role from kind of the overseeing perspective is over, and I hand it off usually, May 4th, May 5th, May 6th, I'll hand it off to guidance counselors, and I'll say, start fixing. And so they'll really dig in, and they do some really hard work meeting with students and fixing schedules. And our goal is for many of our students to have full schedules by the time we go on summer vacation. So we want, because it's easiest to have those conversations in May than it is in June and July. Now, we're not done with the master schedule. Mr. Owens, our guidance department chair, myself, our counselors, we're still trying to make fixes all summer long. And you might have a teacher retire late, or something happens and all of a sudden
you can't offer a certain class, and you've got to really work to do that. And so we do that. But and we're working up until the last day of summer break to get the master schedule as clean as we can. And I'll be honest, it's a great feeling to get it done well and to get it done right. But it never fails. We finish the master schedule up, we print off those schedules for students on that first day of school, and like 2 weeks later, we start looking at the next year. And so it's very rewarding. It's a great process. You just get better at it every time you do it. But I will tell you that it's a challenge, and we really work to make it the best schedule we can, and know that it's not, that we're going to always do better, and we always strive to do what's best for kids and teachers, and we want this to go well. So that's kind of all things master schedule. I hope you enjoyed this episode and this 3-part series. I've really enjoyed kind of getting in a little more depth and kind of talking through processes and thought processes. I hope that you found one thing and took away that one thing from today, because that's all my goal is. If I give you one thing, I know I've done a good job. So thanks for tuning in to Other Duties as Assigned, and I look forward to seeing you here again in a couple weeks. Take care.